It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA/FIM North American Road Race Championship, our 7th round of 9 for 2025. Supersport on deck here, Permco MotoAmerica Superbikes at Mid-Ohio weekend in Lexington, Ohio. And we are so excited about Motovation Supersport Race number 1 coming at you as the riders are ready to get after it too under a warm and sunny skies. Welcome everyone to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, we're at this point of the season, right? 2/3 of the season are over. So we only have 150 points left in the championship on offer. So we've eliminated some of the people out of the championship. Yeah. However, when we really look at the top end, we're still talking about the same two we were talking about last year.
Same two guys again, Greg. PJ Jacobsen and Matthew Skoltz coming into this round at Mid-Ohio. They've been locked at horns all season long. But this guy right now, Matthew Skoltz, Greg, he's got the momentum. Comes off a double victory at VIR. Had a pretty good weekend at Laguna Seca as well. So, but you can see right now that number 1 plate happily emblazed on that Strack Racing R9, and that was after race 1. After race 2, you see here, he slides up the inside of PJ Jacobsen, going down into turn 1 there, and he would just pull away. Really dominant performance at our last round of VIR for Matthew.
So for Matthew Skoltz, back on top, and just the way he likes it. But here's a look at this championship in the last 6 races. So Matthew's been able to score 136 points versus PJ Jacobsen at 109 points. And it's those 4 wins and the podium. So you look at PJ Jacobsen right now, Jason, I've had a chance to talk to him. You've had a chance to talk to him. He's under the gun right now.
Yeah, but he looks really good this weekend. He's really got together with his Ray Hall crew, and they've given him a good motorcycle, Greg. 26.7 this morning, pole position for PJ Jacobsen. And, you know, he's going to be looking forward to change this momentum and swing it back in his favor.
So for PJ Jacobsen, he's got to contend with the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, as does everyone in this class. Motovation Supersport, Jay, take us around.
It's a short run down to turn 1, which can make the start kind of tricky here. You got to get single file by the time you get to turns 2, 3, and 4. Then it's everybody for themselves on that back straightaway where there'll be a lot of outbraking, Greg, down into turn 6. You're going to wind your way through turns 10 and 11 and 12 over there in Thunder Valley, and then you go through the fast 13, tricky turn, Greg, and then the last set of corners make it for a quick run to the finish line. As soon as you come out of turn 15, finish line is there.
Well, the sun is shining on the grid, and the third member of our broadcast team is down there with the racers. It's Jamie Howe.
You guys have talked about the championship points. You've talked about the challenges that we face here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Nobody's more aware of any of those things than PJ Jacobsen, our pole sitter coming into racing today. PJ, we talked back in the paddock. I know you have a lot of confidence in yourself. You have a lot of confidence in the bike. How do you put the two together and put yourself at the sharp end of the points again?
Yeah, I feel pretty good right now. Everything's been going quite well. So obviously the race will be difficult like they always are. But yeah, I feel good right now. So the bike is working well. The track, it's probably going to be pretty hot, but yeah, I'm just going to put my head down and try to get a win and see what we can do, really.
All right, good luck with that. It is the warmest that we've had out on this racetrack all weekend. 105 degrees right now is the track temperature, but not everybody's out here racing for those championship points. Some of the riders are out here racing for another opportunity to get out here and walk just a little bit further back down the grid, and he's walked away right now, but you see this Doritos machine of Brandon Posh. Here he comes over the wall, and 2-time Daytona winner. He certainly knows how to operate a super sport bike, but for you, Brandon, you haven't done a lot of road racing lately. You've been on a bunch of other motorcycles. How has that experience helped you here this weekend?
Oh, yeah, I've been riding everything, just trying to stay active and stay relevant. And, yeah, here we are. I got the call Thursday afternoon on the way to the track that I was racing, so I don't even know what's going on, but I can't thank the whole 3D Racing team and Doritos enough for having me out. Alright, helmets, RST, Garnet boots, all the loyal people that have been helping me out for years now, and looking forward to getting another race under my belt. Sorry, I'm a little winded. I was just running back from the bathroom. I had to pee, and I saw you guys come, and I was like, Jesus, I better start sprinting. But, yeah, should be a good race. It's hot out here, and I don't know. See what we can do.
Made quick work of everything this weekend. Already up on the second row, Greg.
And that good sprint is always good, Jay. You ever warm up before a race? Get yourself maybe on a
Get that
treadmill.
blood flowing a
get
little
the blood
bit,
flowing. You'd be all fired up. Good to see Brandon Posh back on. Also want to talk real quickly about P.J. Jacobsen and the fact that he's in a situation where he feels like he's in a must-win for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it's that yet. I think when you're head-to-head with one person, you can kind of keep an eye on what they're doing. But that said, PJ's, race savvy. He knows what's going on. He just needs to go out there and do what he can do, what he can control, and try to get himself a win.
All right, well, as Brandon Posh does what he needs to do before the race, all eyes on the #1 plate who leads this championship. He's starting third on the grid, and race action gets underway in about 10 minutes.
Motovation Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbooks and DFS platforms all season long. By Motovation, the most trusted online resource for premium motorcycle parts and accessories delivered right to your door. Find your motivation at motivationusa.com. And by Permco, a leading manufacturer of high-pressure hydraulic gear, vane pumps and motors, flow dividers, intensifiers, and accessories.
For the first time in recent rounds, Raj, the Yamahas look like they've got a little bit of a challenge on their hands. There's only 2 bikes up there in the top 7 spots and on those front 3 rows of the grid. And certainly it looks like the Ducati's a stronger package around this track this weekend. But for Matthew Scholes, that means it's an opportunity to spring a bit of a surprise and a little bit of a different role from him in this race compared to what we've had in recent rounds.
Yeah, at Virginia, he kind of set the pace all weekend, and he hasn't been way off the pace, but PJ's been a couple tenths ahead of him, and Matt's did a good job closing that down as the weekend went on. But you got 2 Ducatis on the front row and then 2 Suzukis on the second row.
And obviously Cam Peterson, the second of those Ducatis on the front row of the grid. Peterson from Laguna onwards, we've seen that little bit of an upturn in this form, 5th in the championship standings right now, but he's been able to really give himself an opportunity this weekend to try and fight it out right at the front. And even though Jacobsen's got that bit of a pace advantage over everyone, you'd certainly expect that Cam Peterson's going to be right there at the start.
Just has to get a good start, not lose out the first lap there, and let PJ's got the pace. If you let him get away a couple seconds the first couple laps, it's going to be hard to close that down.
And for Peterson on that front row of the grid alongside Jacobsen and Matthew Scholes. But it's good to see Larry Pegram back on the grid as well. The 4th row for Larry, and it's been a little bit further down the order than we saw him for the rest of the weekend. He's been up inside the top 10 for much of it.
Started out the weekend strong, and still, though, you got to think Larry, he's going to be able to come through during that race. I mean, he's starting 11th. We like to be a couple rows higher, but he's a veteran, and he knows how to work his way up toward the front.
Yeah, we saw him at Road America as well earlier in the season, and that was the last time that we saw this man, P.J. Jacobsen, able to win a race. Jacobsen second in the championship standings now, 7 points behind Matthew Scholes, but he's been the pace setter all the way through this weekend, and he'll start from that pole position. And Greg White and Jason Pridmore will take us through the action.
Welcome back to Motovation Supersport here at a Permco MotoAmerica Superbikes at Mid-Ohio weekend. Yeah, it's Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and it's a beautiful weekend. We want to let you know, play MotoAmerica for cash. The Superbike Baggers and Supersport Series are now live on top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/PlayMA to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now. Well, Jason Pridmore, we had just a little bit of a electric snafu that has delayed this program just a couple of minutes. Any dramas from your racing experience over the years that we just have this short little 5-minute delay?
No, these kind of things happen, and you're set for this stuff. And this is when you're really relying on your crew and the people around you to just kind of make sure everything's set, everything's ready. As you can see, riders now getting prepared, getting their helmets on, and a short little delay like that's not going to get in the minds of these guys too much, I don't think, Greg.
All right, Jason, one of the things we know about Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course is, our second year back here, and the track is, a lot of people talk about how smooth it is, how much grip is available, but PJ mentioned it in his interview that it's going to be hot. When oftentimes riders are talking about the heat, they're talking about the possibility of these tires getting a little bit slippery, getting a little bit greasy on down the line. Is that something that you are going to be thinking about long-term strategy-wise, or you just focus really on just getting to turn one?
I really do think it's easier to focus on that stuff if you don't feel that there's going to be a big group in front or around you. So a guy like PJ, he's had some pace this weekend, but we know Cam Peterson, Matthew Skoltz, Ty Scott, these guys are not going anywhere. And even Brandon Posh there in 5th. I mean, Brandon just keeps getting better each time he gets on that bike. So, you know, when it's a lot harder to conserve things when you have a big group of guys trying to get to the front, because you don't want to fall too far behind trying to conserve certain stuff. So, it's going to be a little bit slick. It's going to be a little bit greasy. You and I were here 2 weeks ago for the Talent Cup race, and it was quite a bit warmer and more humid then than it is now. I don't think these conditions are going to be bothering these guys too much.
So riders getting ready, and if this is their first time getting a really good look at the action that happens on the grid, look at that rider right there. That is Larry Pegram. The Worm is back in action here at Mid-Ohio, and Pegram, boy, Jay.
I love it.
Timeless, right?
No, he's great, and Larry always comes. He's not just out here making up the numbers. He's competitive. He's fast. We only get to see him once or twice a year, and I'm glad he's still around doing this. And you know, again, Greg, really good first practice the other day, and he's lining up 11th on the grid. Yeah,
finished on the podium here last year in race number 1. And so that's awesome. Back there in 16th place, and we're going to go over the grid and where they qualified a little bit later. Jeremy McWilliams, who is filling in for kind of injured, I guess you could say, Jake Lewis.
Yeah.
So we wish Jake Lewis a speedy recovery. But Jamie, it seems like from what the riders are doing, it's pretty hot out there right now.
It's as hot as it's been all weekend, Greg. 106-degree track temperature right now. Put that into perspective to the last time that these riders were out there for the second qualifying session. Track temperature was only at 98 degrees. Yesterday afternoon for the first qualifying session, 86 degrees. So you get an idea of the swing in temperature. When we get to the end of this race, it could potentially all come down to which rear tire, which front tire these riders and teams have chosen to go out on, because it's going to be pretty slippery.
And that's where motorcycle road racing is a team sport, because you can't just rely on the rider to figure that out. You got to have the good communication with your team in order to set a motorcycle up, and experience as a crew chief is going to make a huge difference as well.
As well as talking to your techs at Dunlop, you know, and figuring out what's going to work best for you. How many of these guys did a long run, Greg? You know, maybe they got 9, 10, 12 laps a run on tires. PJ did an extremely long run yesterday. Watching him, I believe it was yesterday afternoon, he had done a long run, and so I did notice a few of the guys doing longer runs to kind of test that, to see if the tires are going to be underneath them at the end of the race. And that you take that knowledge to your crew.
Yep.
You take it to Dunlop and you say, this is what we just got done doing, and then you come up with a decision of what you want to run front and rear.
And that also not only tire choice in terms of compounds, but also the ability of having a very small window to adjust the tire pressure as well.
Yes.
And so it's important that Dunlop gives you good feedback on what you want to do and have a lot of experience, especially for the motorcycles. There's such a variety of bikes in this next generation super sport class, from Ducatis, Yamahas, Suzuki's. MV Agusta is in the mix as well. And so, you know, each one of these bikes is set up different, and then you add the rider's preference to it, and things can be all over the place.
100%. So what could work for one rider tire combination wise might not work for the other. So right now on this warm-up lap, it's all about just making sure that you feel confident and you're good coming back to the line. See a lot of riders taking it a little bit easy here, Greg, with 2 corners to go in the lap. That's mostly just because they know that they've got their tires up to temperature, and now they're just going to wait to get to the line as we have a look at the starting grid.
Starting grid, pole position with a new track record for the Supersport class, PJ Jacobsen.
Yep, and then we're going to have Cam Peterson, Matthew Skoltz, Ty Scott, Brandon Posh, and Kayla Yakov going to round out row number 2. Then we got Blake Davis, Corey Alexander, a very fast Chase Black this weekend. Really nice to see that. Hobbs, Pegram, and Aiden Sneed are going to be outside row 4. Max Van Hayes, Torin Collins. How about Jeremy McWilliams, Greg, taking over for Jake Lewis, as you said. He's a little further back. Leon LaRoche, Williams, Monk, Maggs, and Horney are in there. And then we're going to get back to that last row. Noah Diedrich and Joel Omen.
All right, so 18 laps scheduled in this race as we are getting ready to get Motovation Supersport Race number 1 underway.
It's a tricky turn 1, Greg, because it's such a short run to the first turn. So you've got to get things kind of going as quickly as you can here, making decisions on where you want to put your bike for that first turn.
When the lights go off, we're racing. Here we go. Oh, it looked like Cameron Peterson was caught sleeping at the line. The 45, not with a great launch, but the 15 gets it done. But Matthew Schultz has position on the number 1. Nope, it's going to be P.J. Jacobson. This is not what the field wanted to see because P.J.
Oh, Ty Scott gets through on Matthew as well.
Pushing his own air. P.J. Jacobson has been awfully fast. So, third on the grid, gets shuffled back to third, is the number 1 plate and your championship points leader.
Yeah, that's a good move from Ty Scott early to get through as you see PJ using up all the last little bit of track and a little bit more.
Yeah. So down the back straightaway they go for the first time past our speed shot. Bikes ripping at nearly 160 miles per hour in this middleweight category. P.J. Jacobson off the back straightaway leads the way.
Cam Peterson goes through on Matthew Schultz as well. So quickly, the number 1 plate finds himself second place coming out of turn 1, only to be passed by Ty Scott and Cam Peterson. Now, this isn't going to worry Matthew. As you see, his teammate Blake Davis is there behind him. Kayla behind Blake, and I believe it's Brandon Posh there as well. 7th spot right now in the Doritos GSXR 750. So, yeah, but right now for PJ, these early laps are going to be key, Greg. We're going to be able to see what kind of pace he can get into early. So far this weekend, you know, I daren't say it, it's been looking a little bit easy for PJ. Even yesterday morning when some of the riders were talking about the track being a little bit greasy or a little bit slippery, he just was able to find a way to get that Ducati around here. So you can see he's already got almost a full second lead as Cam Peterson now shoots up the inside of Ty Scott. Cam Peterson was the guy who qualified second today and ran some good laps towards the end of qualifying this morning.
On the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Expel, P.J. Jacobson leads the way, Jamie.
And different strategies coming into the race for the different championship contenders. In the case of P.J. Jacobson, he's been so comfortable aboard that Ducati this weekend. His mission was to have a good start and then get out front and just set the race pace. His goal is to lead every single lap of it all the way to taking the checkered flag. But then you think about Matthew Schultz. You watched him shuffle back just a bit, and he's always been planning on that. He said he's not as comfortable aboard that bike. The R9 not working as well here as what it has at other racetracks this season. And so for him, he said, I have a good pace at the end of the race. He's going to bide his time these early laps and fight at the end.
Yeah, so Matthew Schultz on this track racing Yamaha R9. Keep in mind, a brand new motorcycle for 2025. And Jay, when you come to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, this is a very complicated racetrack to set up a motorcycle. So the lack of experience with this bike in its first year, not surprised to see them in this position right now.
But I think you called it at the beginning, getting with your crews, getting with your tire techs, talking about what you have underneath you. When you listen to what Jamie reported there, the good thing is that she's got the information that Matthew feels strong maybe in the second half of this race. You can see him here getting a little bit more race. He doesn't want to go any further back than he is now, and he doesn't want to let PJ get so far out in front where PJ can just dictate every single thing on his own. Now, that last lap through, 27.6 for the leader. You can see it's still 9/10 of a second. So Cam is kind of able to go, but 27.6 to 28.1 for Ty Scott. Matthew is still behind him, so he's going to have to try to get through on that number 70.
Now, Matthew was a little faster by 0.2 of a second than the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki rider, Ty Scott. But obviously, this is racing, and positions make a difference. So Ty Scott leads the way. Now it's going to be Suzuki GSXR 750 versus this Yamaha R9. Past our speed shot we go, and another look at what 155 to 160 miles an hour looks like in this super sport category.
And you can see there, Matthew was trying to get in the draft of that GSXR 750, and he's going to continue to pull up. Now, Greg, this track, he's going to try to duck down the inside maybe here. No, you can get creative with passes all through this section depending on how your bike is working. So up over the top of this hill, this is all blind coming up over the top. And there's a pass that Matthew's going to go straight to the apex. He's going to slide his way up underneath that 750 of Ty Scott. And Blake Davis now wants to take a shot at the 70 as well.
Interesting that Matthew thinks that his bike's going to be better working at the end of the race. But obviously this 28, 20, high 27 pace, it's a little bit too slow for what his brain is capable of doing on this Yamaha R9. So off he goes to set sail towards Cameron Peterson, the number 45, who sits alone in second place on that Celtic Economy Lube and Tire Warhorse HSBK Ducati. So we got a Ducati leading, the Ducati Panigale V2, which since we have switched to next generation rules here in MotoAmerica has been the standout machine until this Yamaha R9 showed up, and then we've really seen a dominance this season by that motorcycle.
Yeah, you're going to see on the left-hand side of your screen, these are the kind of creative places that you have to think about making passes. So when you follow a rider for a lap, if that's all you want to do, you got to try to make hay while the sun shines. Matthew does that. We're going to keep an eye on his lap time now that he's going to get a full lap to himself up at the front. Right now, Cam Peterson's the only one so far lap time and split-wise that's able to keep the 15 of P.J. Jacobsen kind of honest. So you can see Ty Scott has responded too, because Blake was right behind him coming out of the keyhole. Ty Scott's done a nice job of keeping his eyes forward, focused on Matthew Sculpts, and try to get with the number 1 and run away with him.
So with 14 and a half laps to go, Motovation Supersport race number 1. P.J. Jacobsen, fastest lap of the race last time by the stripe. Cameron Peterson went fastest in Sector 1, trying to chase him down. That settled down by Sector 2. But Matthew Sculpts, Ty Scott, and Blake Davis, including Kayla Yaakov back in 6th place, all set their personal best time in Sector number 2 of the race so far. But coming across the line, P.J. Jacobsen goes 127.0.
Yeah.
127.0 in race trim. So, yeah, Jamie mentioned that P.J. wants to set the pace, but it is torrid right now.
And don't you think right now, if you're P.J. Jacobsen and you come by that pit board and you see 1.5, there's going to be a little sigh of relief, and I'm sure it's going to have the 45 on that board, possibly as well, letting him know that it is actually Cam Peterson running second. So for PJ, this is what I have noticed so far this weekend. Those boys down in the Rahal team, they've done a really good job of giving him a great motorcycle where he can get out front early, run these clean laps. Now, the other thing we have to discuss here, Greg, is probably with about 6 laps to go, as you see Josh Hayes now goes up underneath Brandon Posh. That's going to be a move for 7th spot. So Brandon went with the leaders early. Now he's going to do everything he can to get on the back of Josh Hayes. And you can see Aiden Sneed there, Greg, also doing an amazing job on that MV Agusta, running 9th right now. Jamie.
Josh Hayes with not the best qualifying position back in 14th, but he said it's so tight back there. He was looking at the splits in between everybody. He was like, if I could have gone 2/10 faster in qualifying and moved me up like a row and a half. So he wasn't concerned about starting in that mid-pack. What he was encouraged by was the fact that he has so much more experience than a lot of the riders around him, and his racecraft is a lot stronger than a lot of these young riders that are still trying to learn it. So you can see Josh working through and able to move himself up, but he might be able to get up just a couple spots higher, potentially inside of the top 5. That's a goal.
I know him all too well, Jamie, and the thing he's going to be kicking himself on more than anything is probably that qualifying position. Coming back from 14th or wherever he was on the grid, it's just too far. You cannot give that big of an advantage to these guys. But for Josh right now, he continues to run his personal best lap after lap, Greg. I noticed this time by 28.4 for the number 4 of Josh Hayes. And there's Larry Pegram, Greg. He's right on the back of this battle that's there for 7th. He's currently 12th is Larry, so he's 29.4 for the 72. He's right up behind Corey Alexander. You got Teague Hobbs in this group as well. As you can see just up front there, it looked like Aiden Sneed maybe trying to make a pass on Brandon Posh. There it is. So the MV Agusta rider has made his way through. So Aiden also showing some real speed in these last few rounds.
Aiden Sneed coming off of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca with a pair of 7th place finishes, his best. The young rider in the Motovation Supersport class on an MP13 MV Agusta. Just a beautiful machine. When you get to come to a MotoAmerica race and see that motorcycle, it's different looking and it's very Italian, and it is awesome to see Sneed getting after it. But the question is, can the young rider have enough patience, if he's got the pace, to start to chip away at the little lead that the number 4 Josh Hayes has been able to make on that BPR racing machine?
Well, they do a lot of training on bicycles together, Josh and Aiden both. So the thing is right now for Aiden, he's got to keep his eyes forward and chase after that number 4, see if he can get some separation. As we look right now, P.J. Jacobsen would have a 2-point lead, Greg, if it ended at this moment. So again, a lot of room left in this race to go.
So a good battle going on there with Aiden Sneed. That's 8th place. Brandon Posh in 9th. Teague Hobbs, the number 79 back there. Brandon with Corey Alexander. And there's the worm, Larry Pegram on the Team Hammer GSXR 750. So a good battle going on, but up the road, P.J. Jacobson maintaining a 1.2 second lead over Cameron Peterson.
Larry's got a good run on Corey Alexander as he pulls out of the draft. You can see the 72 of Pegram. He's going to make that pass on Corey Alexander. So Larry, obviously, with still a lot of speed, running another one of those Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzukis under the Chris Orich Suzuki banner over there. And he's got to be pretty happy. I'm sure Chris is right now with what he sees coming from Larry Pegram as we get back to the front.
All right, so here's P.J. Jacobson. He's done a 127.2 on the last lap, but all eyes on this guy right now. He is set the fastest time of a 127.021. That's the fastest lap of the race. And by the way, that is about a second quicker than Matthew Skolt's best race lap time of a 128. So PJ had gone 127.091, and then Cameron Peterson goes 127.021. So Peterson is not giving this one up, but with all that effort he put in, just like that, PJ Jacobson just did an identical lap time, 127.091, tying his best. So these riders are absolutely shredding right now here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
They're continuing to push, and Matthew Skoltz, look, he's got his head down as well. 27.2 the last time through for Matthew Skoltz, 27.6 for his for Tyler Scott, who was battling with him not that long ago. So Matthew has pulled the pin a little bit on this battle for that final spot on the podium. But for Matthew Skoltz, these are all going to be laps that Matthew's going to learn from. He knows championship can't be won today, can't be lost today. So he's going to go back with his team after this. They're going to diagnose everything as far as the lap to lap goes.
All right, so Cameron Peterson in second place, 1.4 behind PJ, but 1.8 ahead of Skoltz right now, Jamie.
And for Cameron Peterson, that time that he just did, you're talking about it, that 127.0, even better than he qualified at. So he's certainly finding some more aboard that Ducati. And he said that he thought that might be the case. He thought there was a little bit more out there. But all of the laps that he's done this weekend were done by himself. He didn't have that carrot to chase in front of him. Now that he has P.J. Jacobson, he has a little bit more that he can go after in that tank. And one of the things that he said was at that point is when he's made his mistakes over the course of the season. So for him, the goal here has to be not to make any mistakes. Just stay focused, continue to look forward and see what he's able to do. And
more important for Cameron Peterson, he's got to stay laser focused because the carrot he's chasing just went faster. A 126.898 in race trim halfway through this race in Motovation Supersport. The number 15 on the Rahal Ducati Moto with Expel Ducati just went. That is incredibly fast. I mean, you're talking about a 126.7 was the lap record in qualifying, and he does it with half a fuel load in his tank. P.J. Jacobson must have responded to something that he saw on his pit board.
Yeah, there's no question, Greg. As a rider, you want to know if you are pulling away. And getting a chance to look and see what maybe is on that board, you know, for me, as that board went from +1 and I felt like I was riding in a certain way, you always think, man, if I could just get a little bit more, push a little bit more, get that +2. What he's trying to do right now is break that guy in second place the best he can. And I saw this last lap through, Cam Peterson was very hot into the keyhole, did a really nice job getting that bike turned, did Cam, but he can feel and see the 15 just starting to creep away, and it's just a 1/10 of a second this lap. Cam's been able to kind of hold that, but it was 1.7 the last time they came through.
It's got to be in a way frustrating because as a rider, you know, Jay, when you're on board, you can feel the bike. You're like, whoa, that's RPM coming out of that corner. I just went super fast. And Cam Peterson didn't know, I'm sure, that he went 127.0 and broke the track record for the moment. But then for PJ to do it again and eke away, Cam's like probably thinking, what do I got to do? How about Kayla Yakov in P6? Teammate to PJ Jacobson on the Rahal Ducati Moto with Expel. And Kayla really starting to find her feet right there just outside the top 5. And as we wait for, you know, the next rider involved, Josh Hayes, he's got a little bit of a gap. And then back to this battle that we saw. So Aiden Sneed has snuck away from Brandon Posh, Larry Pegram, Teague Hobbs.
Pegram's got through on Teague Hobbs though now, and now he's going to go after Brandon Posh. Last time we saw Pegram on the 72, he was getting past Corey Alexander. Now he's lining up the same pass on Brandon Posh as they come down in to turn 6 here at the end of that back straightaway. Not quite close enough. Oh, Brandon's in too deep. False neutral. Brandon gets in a little deep, runs off the track. That gave that spot to Pegram pretty easy. Now Larry's got a little bit of clear track up in front of him. Let's see if he can close that gap down to Aiden running in 8th.
All right, so back on the track goes Brandon Posh. I'm sure he's feeling this one. at this level, at this intensity. Pegram too, though. Keep in mind, Larry Pegram's been racing. His brain is up to speed. He's been racing with his daughter, but sitting down racing. He's been doing cars, and they've been having a good summer, has the worm.
Yeah, you can see there. I can still see Brandon's looking for a gear. Probably just got stuck in between, but for Pegram, exactly right. Had a great chat with him yesterday. They've been testing in the car and doing some other things. And, you know, like you say, Greg, when your brain is up to speed, he already knows how to ride a motorcycle, obviously, from all the years of doing so. And this has always been a special place for him, coming here to Mid-Ohio, a home race for Larry Pegram. And, you know, he doesn't test, he doesn't do anything, he just shows up. Just shows up. 2.1 now we're seeing, Greg. That's the lead that P.J. Jacobsen has over Cam Peterson.
So Cameron Peterson, as weird as this is to say, has backed it down to a 1:27.2. So he's only 2/10 of a second off of his best time, is the number 45. But same situation for P.J. Jacobsen. He's 2/10 off his best time, but he's still 2/10 faster than
Let's keep an eye
Cam
still
Pete.
on Matthew Skultz, too. He went 27 flat the last time by 2 laps ago, rather. This last time it was a 27.2. He's 1.6 behind Cam Peterson. So this guy here, once he sees +2, +3 on his board, he knows with 7 laps to go this next time by that he can kind of run these low 27s, I think, pretty comfortably, Greg. I don't think low 27s right now for PJ are very difficult.
Now, we saw PJ's crew looking at the monitor, watching their rider. This is also important for them to be able to look at it and see what is the motorcycle doing, what does it look like from their perspective, and compare what they see with the feedback from their rider. So you see that these two Ducatis that have had a lot of information, you know, experience at the track, going 1-2 with that brand new Yamaha back in third, and the Suzuki, which also has experience, back to the Yamaha Blake Davis. So right now, very interesting race up front, but it's this guy right here, Matthew Skultz, that we're keeping a close eye on, as he's able to get back 1/10 of a second here, 1/10 of a second there to Cameron Peterson. So now the gap between second and third is 1.5 seconds. As you see, that gap between 1 and 2 has stabilized at about 2.3. So with 6.5 laps to go, Matthew Skultz, like, here's the thing. Matthew Skultz just does 27.1. The fastest lap ever set was 26.8 by PJ. There's not a lot of room for Skultz to go a lot faster, especially with the heat, but these Dunlop tires have been awesome so far.
Extremely fit, and he said to Jamie that he felt stronger towards the end of the race. Now, where do you think championship at this point? Because he would love to only give up 5 points to PJ. That said, as it is right now, it would be 8 points that he'd be giving up. And to be fair, we haven't really seen Matthew not be at the sharp end all season long, in the sense that he's always battling for that lead position. So this is going to be a place where he's going to have to come out tomorrow, figure out some things overnight, which he'll try to do with his team. But if he can continue to, look at this, Greg, 27 flat. He was 3/10 quicker than this man, 3/10 quicker than Cam Peterson. There's still plenty of time for Matthew to try to come up there and wrestle that away. As we see this battle again for 8th place, Pegram has now caught Aiden Sneed.
So here comes Pegram onto the front straightaway. MV Agusta versus Suzuki GSXR 750. Sneed on the brakes into turn number 1. No attack from Pegram this lap. 6 to go in Motovation Supersport Race number 1. And out front is Aiden Sneed up the inside. It's a good line from Sneed to really kind of block the line from Pegram to pass him. But we'll see what kind of legs this MV Agusta has down the back straightaway coming out of the keyhole. So Pegram with that very unique riding style, especially when he goes left.
It's been like that forever.
Ever.
Forever.
Little
And he's
hip,
always
it's a
made
hip
it work.
thing.
Can't argue with it. I mean, look, the thing is that there's a lot of different ways of doing things. He looks like he's going to try to line up Aiden down in here. Aiden's deep in there, though, Greg. So Larry had the idea. I know what it's like having the 72 chasing you around.
Yeah,
too.
you sure do.
It's been a long time.
20-something years
but
ago,
I definitely
buddy.
remember. As you see, he runs a little bit wide there. Has a look over. Nobody around him, so he's going to
He'll make another plan.
Oh, yeah, he'll make another plan. They can make another run at Aiden, and Aiden's board now will probably go from +1 to 0. I've been watching this battle, too, Greg. Blake Davis has been chipping away at Ty Scott. Now he finds himself on the back of the number 70 as we get ready to complete another lap. 5 to go this time through.
Blake Davis on the back of his 27.6, his best lap of the race. He goes best lap again for himself, does the 22 on the Strack Racing Yamaha R9 against Ty Scott on the GSXR 750. The difference there, about half a second between these two on the last lap. So in terms of speed at the moment, you would have to say that Blake Davis has the edge. that would go from 5th place to 4th place, Jamie.
For Blake Davis, he's also struggled over the course of this weekend with that new R9 and not having any data on it. And one of the things that they've really picked up on is the fact that they're not able to control as much when the track is real slick. And we haven't been to a track like this at this point in the season. So they're learning a lot from session to session. As you see him now make that pass around, Tyler Scott is feeling more and more comfortable. But every time he gets on the bike this weekend, it's a completely different setup underneath him. So he's going to have even more information now to take into the second race tomorrow.
And make note, I mean, I think that the team works so well together that between Blake and Matthew, they're going to come up to some solutions between the two of them to get these R9s a little bit better for tomorrow. And I think a lot of it, the beginning of the race, Matthew just had a couple guys go by him early. It kind of probably messed up his plans ever so slightly. But if you continue to look, Greg, 27-1 that last time by. He's running basically the same times as PJ is right now. Just needs to be closer. As you can see now, Blake Davis, he's going to have a fight probably to the finish here with Ty Scott.
4 to go as Blake Davis comes across the stripe. Now credited with 4th place, 128 flat to Ty Scott's 128.3. All the while out front, PJ Jacobson a 27.4. Cam Peterson 27.3 and Skultz again 27.1. So right there. Now this battle between the youngest rider, the number 98, and the oldest rider, number 72, getting after it. And here comes Corey Alexander on the 23. Corey Alexander on the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Rollerdine forming.
Pegram made the pass on Aiden Steed going down there into turn number 1. So Corey Alexander's come from a long way back here, by the way, as well. He had to go past Teague Hobbs to get there. And so now let's see what Corey can do with these two in front of him.
Pegram's been getting really good drives out of the keyhole. I mean, he's probably been coming out of that keyhole for, I don't know,
a million years.
A million.
Look at, here you go. Matthew Scott has closed up on the back, Greg. It's under a second now the last time through. 27.1 to 27.3 for Cam Peterson. So Matthew's head down trying to get that second place. Right now, he just continues to chip away at the 45.
The difference between second and third place is 4 points, and with the championship being this close, Matthew Skultz would like nothing more than to, like you mentioned earlier, JP, come out of this race only 5 points lost instead of 9 points lost. But he's got some work to do with 3 laps to go. It's right there within his sights. But Cameron Peterson, he's still right there, only 0.4 of a second slower than his fastest lap time of the race, this deep in the race. Shows you how good they have the motorcycle set up on the Celtic Economy Lube Tire Warhorse HSBK Ducati, and how good these Dunlop tires are hooked up. He has a look over his shoulder and he goes, oh great, there's my boy.
Now you want to see.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that number 1 coming after you right now. So PJ Jacobson, 27.3 that last time by. I think it's the slowest lap I've seen him do in quite some time. He's just managing that pace now, Greg, with 2.5 laps to go. The 15 is just going to manage that pace. But where's this going to happen for Matthew? I can see Matthew maybe trying to do something in the next lap or so in the same spot he did it before, which is right in here. If he can get close enough to the 45, although the way Cam went through there, that would be a hard pass for Matthew that time. But he's got to be right up on the back of him to try to kind of force his way through.
So with PJ Jacobson, by the way, last time down the trap, he went his fastest speed, pushing his own air, did PJ Jacobson. So he's still on the gas, coming out of the keyhole onto the back straightaway. So now 2 laps to go as these two come to the stripe. Another fastest lap of the race for the number 1 of Matthew Skultz, a 27 flat. His countryman, Cameron Peterson, goes 127.3, still absolutely ripping, but just continues to lose time. And it is so close. There's your leader in lap traffic right now, going through the keyhole. They get blue flags, do these riders to let them know the leaders are coming through. So some of these riders doing the right thing.
Did a great job, didn't they, Greg? Getting out of the way. You can even see the riders ahead of Joel Ullman. Joel was the first one there. Then the other 2 riders kind of let them by. So really good move on those guys' part. PJ's path is now clear. Now Matthew is on the back of Cam Peterson. Now, this is where, if you're the number 1, you can think about making an attack, because Cam's going to have a couple back markers ahead of him. So is it going to be down? This next little area was where I was thinking it could happen, Greg. They're going to go left. This is blind. You come up over the top. He's not close enough this lap. Cam's going to do the same. Go up underneath this back marker here. So yeah, that's you kind of see that one coming. You want to be the first one through, everybody, if you can. But when they go through this next left, Cam's going to get held up, I think, just a little bit. See what happens here on the exit of this turn.
Whoa, he's got to turn it with the rear wheel to get position. Up the inside he goes, but Cameron Peterson's barging his way through, and that opens the door for Matthew Scults, so no dramas there. White flag out, last lap for P.J. Jacobsen in this battle for the podium. Leading the way is Cameron Peterson on the 45, but the number 1 is stalking him. That's 4 points in this championship. Also important, with only 5 races remaining in the 2025 season for Motovation Supersport. Here we go.
Now it's just a matter of where Matthew feels that he was catching Cam Peterson when he was rolling along. You can see him, a lot of entry speed on the way into the keyhole for the number 1. Will he be able to get down the back straightaway with Cam Peterson and try to do something with him when they get to the end of it? Right now, he is not close enough. So it's going to have to be a place that's going to be creative, Greg. The Ducati of Cam Peterson was very strong down that back straight. Matthew just isn't quite close enough right now.
Cam Peterson knows he's behind him, was in a little deep off the back straightaway. That's going to give him a little bit of speed sacrifice through this section. So the 45, he doesn't look vulnerable at the moment. And for Matthew Scults, he's trying to find a spot, but he needs to be a little bit closer with less than half a lap to go here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
Yeah,
so P.J. Jacobsen's out front comfortably, but it's this battle for second and third place that we're looking at. And this is championship ramifications.
Cam did a good job in a couple of these very key corners. He's going to put this thing on the grass on the right-hand side. You're going to see here, Greg, as they come in here, right there over that grass, goes his knee. There's no room for Matthew. It's going to be PJ's win.
PJ onto the front straightaway. Jacobsen comes across the line with the win, and second place will go to Cam Peterson, third to Scults. And now that battle between Ty Scott, Blake Davis. We're going to see how this goes because Scott had gotten around him. To the line they come, and it's going to be Blake Davis who gets him by 13 thousandths of a second. So Blake Davis with 4th over Ty Scott, and Kayla Yakov at the stripe in 6th. And how about this battle? It's the Worm, the 98 to 23. Pegram looks like he's got position as they come out of the final corner. Twist the grip. Pegram looking for straight up and down, and boom, just like that. A P8 for Pegram, 9th for
Really
Sneed,
good.
and P10 for Corey Alexander ahead of Torrin Collins, Teague Hobbs. So Josh Hayes comes in 7th place. He was between Yakov and the Pegram battle, with Aiden Sneed doing his fastest lap of the race on the last lap at a 1:28.7. Good for him. But P.J. Jacobsen, what a commanding victory. He got the start he wanted, and you can see 1:26.898.
Well, keep
I mean,
in
you're
mind,
talking
Greg,
stock 1,000 times.
but you look
so
at
fast.
there's 427 flats there as well. So talking about consistent from the 15, really good.
Well, he talked to Jamie before we started this race. He gets to talk to her again when we get back to Mid-Ohio.
Great performance by P.J. Jacobsen, and Rog, we could see it there in his stint consistency there. So many low 27s, and it was only in that last quarter of the race that he rolled off just to control that lead.
Yeah, I think he just rode off toward the end. He had a 2-second gap, and from there, I'm sure the tires were starting to get greasy. But this is what we've seen out of PJ all weekend. He's been fast. He's been consistent. He did a lot of long runs, and he was able to do the exact same thing in the race.
Yeah, only the 3rd win of the season for Jacobsen, but a big win. It's now his championship lead by 2 points, and critical for him that Matthew Scults wasn't able to come through on Cam Peterson.
And for PJ, he really won this race the first couple laps. He was able to get up to speed quite a bit quicker than the rest of the field, and from there they were kind of matching his pace mid-race, but he already pulled out to a couple second lead, and just phenomenal race pace. 26.8 was his best, and all the way to 27.1s until 3 laps to go.
We saw obviously at the end of the race that Scults was able to get himself down into those 27.0s. He had a string of personal bests in a row mid-race, and he looks like he's found something now going into tomorrow's race as well.
He just has to get a better start, and the same thing for Cam. They both just can't let PJ, with the pace that he has, pull that gap. They're too close. If you look at the times, they were within a 10th a lap. Somebody pulls out a second and a half, 2 seconds, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, you mentioned the start for Peterson, and that really was the story of his race. Put himself into a big hole, did a good job to come through and still claim those 20 points per second, but it was a tough race for him after that start.
And then he had Matt from there breathing down his neck the last couple laps. Cameron did a good job, though, maintaining that when Matt caught him, not making a mistake and hanging on to second.
Yeah, and for Peterson, that podium, again, just continuing that run of form from his podium at Laguna a few rounds ago as well. We'll see the riders head on down into the podium area where we'll be able to hear from them and Jamie Howe in just a couple of moments.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The cool-down lap is done and dusted for this guy who just shredded this race. I mean, we were talking about it in the break. If we look at the total race time from last year to this year, I mean, PJ might have been 19, 20 seconds quicker, which is phenomenal. All right, here's the results from the race. Provisionally, as we have PJ Jacobsen with the dub, Cameron Peterson able to hold off Matthew Skultz for second place. Blake Davis and Ty Scott, a ding-dong battle for those two. You can see a couple hundredths of a second. Kayla Yakov in sixth with Josh Hayes. And then Pegram, Sneed, and Corey Alexander on a good battle to the end, with Pegram just a half a second off on the last lap of his best lap of the race. So Pegram, at the ripe old age of 75, showing a ton of fitness.
Really nice of you there. That's great. You're gonna be dealing with him now later on.
Yeah,
so
I'll definitely deal. He's not that old, everybody. He's not that old. But let's get down to Jamie, who's in winner's circle right now.
The third time this season we've seen PJ Jacobsen on the top step of the box, but it's the first one since Road America. It's been a long time coming. You had a plan. You were able to execute it today, PJ. What confidence does this give you now with another race here on a track that you clearly have a lot of pace at?
Yeah, it seems like a while there I was not being able to get a win. You know, I think I should have maybe switched jobs with Spees over there, and he should have filled in for me, you know, because I wasn't winning at all. But yeah, it's good. The team gave me a great bike so far since we got here in Mid-Ohio, so it's been great. I owe them so much, you know. Rahal Ducati Moto, XPEL, AME, Elf Lubricants, Roll or Die, the whole thing has just been awesome. So thank them so much for putting this program together.
Just got to trust that process. Congratulations.
Oh, definitely his 14th win in the Motovation Supersport category, and he did it in dominating style without question.
Yeah, today he was really, really good, and you can see, look how comfortable he looks on the bike, and he said it. Team gave him a good start, a good starting package right off the bat Friday morning. Back down to Jamie.
For Cameron Peterson, able to get another podium result, and it all comes on the heels of you not making any mistakes. You were able to stay focused. You got the start that you needed. How surprised are you with the pace that you were able to also find?
Yeah, honestly, start wasn't that great. Had to make a couple passes in the beginning there, and PJ's pace was just so good in the beginning race. I tried to go, once I got past those couple guys, I tried to go with him, but yeah, his pace was just a little bit too quick for me today. But the team did such a good job with the motorcycle this weekend. I feel so comfortable on the thing. Know what I need to work on for tomorrow. So yeah, we'll go to bed tonight, sleep on it, and try to go get PJ tomorrow. But can't thank the team enough, the whole Economy Lube and Tire, Celtec, Warhorse Ducati team enough. Those guys are incredible. Shark Helmets, Alpine Stars, just everybody in my corner, thank you so much.
Turned his best laps of the weekend, and there's still more in it, Greg.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was like PJ Jacobsen who set fastest, you know, broke the race lap record, and then Cam P did it, and then PJ did it again. So the fact that he thinks that he's got more in this motorcycle, this weapon could be something serious tomorrow. But let's get down to Jamie, who has third.
For Matthew Skultz, he said it coming into the race. He was going to bide his time, be patient, and wait until those closing laps. And that's really where you turned your best laps. Did you wait too long? Do you change that strategy tomorrow?
No, I didn't wait at all. PJ and Cam just had the pace on the first couple laps, and when the fuel tank dropped a little bit, I maybe picked up 2 or 3 tenths, but it was just too late, really. Overall, thank you to the Strike Racing guys. They've been working hard. We have a few things that we need to fix and come out swinging for the second race, but I'm looking forward to it. You know, obviously we want to be first, but you can't win them all. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to get on the top of the box in the second race tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, your 2024 champ. He and his team are going to go to work, and they're going to have some solutions. Tomorrow's definitely going to look like a different race. We're going to be back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as our coverage of Motovation Supersport Race 1 continues.
We've heard from our podium finishers there, Rog, but what about the battle for fourth as well? We saw Blake Davis right at the end able to come through and take that spot from Tyler Scott.
Blake was able to do his best laps toward the end of that race as well. So, you know, him and Tyler just had a great battle. He was able to come out on top, but lost a lot of points in the overall. He's going with Cam Peterson and those guys. So for Blake, he's another one. Maybe he can work with his teammate and maybe look at his data and try to find a little more as well.
Yeah, we talked about the 9-point swing at the top of the standings between PJ Jacobson and Matthew Scholz after first and third, but also a 9-point swing there between Cam Peterson and Tyler Scott as well. And for Cam, he moves himself up into that fourth in the standings. For Scott, step forward over the course of this race, and again we were able to see a run of personal best during that race, but there's a bit of margin for him to make up now for tomorrow.
Yeah, they got a little work to do overnight, and they're going to be able to do that and look at the data and probably go back and rewatch the race and just try to. It's going to be tough to close that whole gap from one night to the next, but if you can just start to chip away at it and try to figure out something that you can move on throughout the season.
And certainly you'd expect for Blake Davis as well, his goal has to be to continue the progress from yesterday into qualifying and into this race, because he hasn't had that sort of speed to be able to look at it where finishing fourth was going to be the target, because over the weekend he's been looking a little bit further down the timesheets.
I really enjoyed the podium interviews. You can just see how tense this championship battle is, but from PJ and also Matt, they're just strictly business.
Yeah, all business and not looking to give away anything to each other, certainly not looking to give away any points to each other. That's where it was critical for Jacobson to be able to get the win. Scholz not quite able to come through in his battle with Cam Peterson, and now it's only those 2 points between our leading two riders in the championship.
Motovation Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbooks and DFS platforms all season long. By Motovation, the most trusted online resource for premium motorcycle parts and accessories delivered right to your door. Find your motivation at motivationusa.com. And by Permco, a leading manufacturer of high-pressure hydraulic gear, vane pumps and motors, flow dividers, intensifiers, and accessories.
Let's take a look at Race 1 highlights from Motovation Supersport Race 1.
You called it. Cam didn't quite get the jump he wanted, you can see, and even he told us there afterwards, but it was going to be PJ Jacobson, Ty Scott, Matthew Scholz, and you can see Cam Peterson in fourth. He'd go underneath Matthew Scholz at the end of that back straightaway. All the while, the 15 just keeps putting his head down. Cam P would make the pass on Ty Scott there going into turn one, and he would set sail, only to find out that pace was just a little bit too much that PJ Jacobson was laying down. Matthew Scholz went up underneath Ty Scott. He took chase after Cam Peterson, was able to catch him at the end, Greg. He would end up third. As you see, PJ Jacobson wins this race by a little over 3 seconds.
His 14th win of his Supersport racing career. Celebrations continue, and so do we when we get back to Lexington, Ohio.
Let's hear it one more time then for our Motovation Supersport top three.
PJ Jacobson on the top step of the podium, and Rog, it all came down to that first lap. We were able to see obviously Cam Peterson struggle a little bit off the line, and Jacobson able just to open up a pretty commanding lead right from the start.
Yeah, for PJ, he was just able to get to the 27 flats right away. So that really was, as he mentioned, on the podium. And some of the other riders, the same thing, the first couple laps. But toward the middle of the race, they were able to start matching his lap times, but it was too late then. He was too far ahead. So I think they just realized if they can get a little better start tomorrow. They have the pace. They did the lap times. They just can't let PJ get away early on.
Yeah, just about trying to keep that pressure on. And it was interesting that in the Supersport race we've seen that. We also saw it in the Stock 1000 race. The races both won very early doors with those fast laps right at the start. Comes down to the fact that we've talked about a lot over the course of the weekend so far. It's just tricky to make overtaking moves around here. This is a tight, twisty, technical track, and we saw a few times during the races already that the only way you're coming through is if you give the other rider very little choice but to seat the position.
And we've seen a lot this weekend too, the riders like PJ, he did this in practice and qualifying, and he was able to do it in the races, long stints, getting up to speed really quick. And that's why you see all these riders do that in practice, and that's why you do those long runs and why you start pushing early on, because you try to translate over to the race, and when you can do that, it ends up in wins.
Yeah, certainly from Jacobson we've been able to see him add to his win tally from earlier in the season, and it's been a stretch for him to add to his wins from earlier on in the year. MotoAmerica until now. It's a long summer whenever you're not able to pick up those 25 points, but he's been able to give himself that all-important race victory here and retake that championship lead. And we saw the tension down there in Parc Fermé as well. Both riders under pressure and knowing that there's no real margin for error now as we move into the last 2.5 rounds of the 2025 campaign.
Motovation Supersport Race 1 is over. Leaves us with 5 races remaining in the 2025 season. So we're real interested to see what the standings are, what the points are going to be looking like right now in this championship. So back up top by 2 points is PJ Jacobsen over Matthew Skoltz. Blake Davis, 61 points back. Cameron Peterson, 111. So only 125 points remaining in this championship. So only Ty Scott and up have a chance mathematically to win this championship. But it's these two with 2 points separating them. You got to watch tomorrow because it is going to be an awesome race, especially with Skoltz, his team, and Blake Davis and his team making some big changes. Well, thanks for joining us here for Motovation Supersport Race number 1. Race 2 on deck, 2 p.m. Eastern time for Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. What's going to happen with this guy? Lap records broken all over the place. Great race action. Can't wait to see it again. Jamie, Jason, I'm Greg. See you tomorrow.
White said we got to be watching tomorrow for the Supersport race. We got